On today's show, the Guardians try to protect James Gunn. We have a new image from Pedro Pascal and Wonder Woman, and America says yes, Tom Cruise, keep hurting yourself for our amusement. Movie Talk starts right now.
What's the title for the next installment?
For Mission Impossible 7.
Yeah, I just want to know.
We already doing that? We're just so greedy when it comes to being audience members. We just want Tom Cruise to keep trying crazy stuff. 100 airplane jumps, do 200 for the next one. That is Perri Nemiroff. That is John Rocha. I am Mark Ellis, and this is the afternoon show that you've come to love. 4 p.m. PST. Check your watches, everyone. Welcome to all of our fans watching across the world live for the very first time. Thank you for tuning in. If you were watching us live, and now you're not able to because of time zone, welcome whenever you are watching or listening to our lovely little movie talk show here. Again, my name's Mark and I had beauty rest. Can you see the difference? Unfortunately, there's only so much you can do with this. You can't fix stupid and you can't fix ugly, but we can fix the time slot. We did just that. Perri, Rocha, how has the time change been for you thus far?
You know, I wasn't really feeling it, and then all of a sudden, right when the show got underway, I watched Cody Hall dance from the door to the jib. He knows it. He danced to the jib. It's a good time. I feel it.
Yeah, Rocha, you're a man who I know that people your age generally are early risers, so this is like the early bird special for you.
I'm usually at Denny's at this time, so this is a little weird for me, having the moons over my hammy with extra cheese on the side. No, listen, this is interesting. It's a nice little switch, but what's missing is the faint air of aroma of coffee. Now, I don't smell any coffee right now, which is usually what I smell when I walk through the door on Movie Talk, coming from Perry's area. Usually, yeah.
It's so weird. I'm drinking water. Something's not right.
Yeah, I got my my Wood Ranch cup because that's where I went for lunch.
Is there any gum in it?
There's no gum in this one today. It's replaced with a lemon wedge. I hardly recognize Rocha without his Noah's Bagels in the morning.
Right?
But this is the afternoon. We're thrilled to be launching our new time slot. Thank you to everybody for your support. Feel free to comment, do all the cool stuff. We'll still take live Twitter questions at the end, and a whole lot of great news stories to get to that actually broke after 9 a.m. So we caught them. The first one, as we usually like to do around here when the new week starts, is talk about the box office in the week that was, and that was Mission Impossible Fallout having an impressive opening weekend debut of over $60 million, thanks in no small part to Tom Cruise and all those crazy stunts that he loves doing. The film was critically received very well, and it's no surprise that it made a #1 appearance. It is a bit of a surprise at how far it outpaced anything else this weekend, because Mamma Mia and The Equalizer both saw significant drops from their opening weekend performances. So, Perri, I understand that The Equalizer 2 is going to suffer at the hands of Mission Impossible, because they're both action movies with big stars. You want to see The Equalizer, you probably checked it out opening weekend. Do you feel the same way about Mamma Mia? Everybody who wanted to see that saw it the first time they could.
I'm really shocked. I thought Mamma Mia was going to hold on so strong, especially when you look at a recent movie like Book Club, which Book Club had long legs, and it was doing so well. And this weekend in particular, counter-programming was working in Mamma Mia's favor. It shouldn't have dropped that much, but it did. When it comes to Mission Impossible, though, I had gone a little higher. I think I said $65 million for that one, so it came in a little under my expectations.
So you're disappointed.
But, I wanted to hit that number for the sake of my Fantasy Movie League lineup. The one that really disappointed me, though, for Fantasy Movie League is Teen Titans Go to the Movies. I was sure, because I was busy watching the early ticket sales on Fandango for that, and it looked like it was going real strong, where I had said something like $15 million, and then it wound up underperforming. But on the bright side, for an animated movie like Teen Titans Go, it didn't cost as much as many of the other wide-release animated movies we've seen. It only cost $10 million, so it's already made its production budget back with just the domestic haul, so I guess it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, and it had a pretty impressive critical debut as well, and that's not just from me. I didn't actually get the chance to review it for Schmoes yet. It's going to be me and Dorian at some point talking about that movie, because he hasn't seen the flick yet, I don't think, but he was a fan of the show, or at least he's seen episodes. I really liked the Teen Titans movie. I was surprised when I saw the screening how much fun I was having. It reminded me shades of Lego Batman, ladies and gentlemen, and that's not praise I give out lightly. So, John Rocha, Teen Titans Go being a disappointment or Mission Impossible Fallout being a success, what's the biggest news story to you?
Well, I think the biggest is has to be Mission Impossible fallout because, look, Tom Cruise, when he veers out of the Mission Impossible franchise lately, he does not find that much success. American Made was a good film, didn't find a huge box office. The Mummy crashed and burned, was a terrible film. This is what he comes back to. This is what we love seeing him do best. And you know what was funny? Watching this movie, I realized, he can't do many more of these because he has upped the ante so much.
We say that every time he does this.
He's almost 60, man. You can't be doing what he's doing past the 60-year-old, and that's what I worry about. It's not Taken where he's doing his hand-to-hand close combat. This guy's jumping out of moving helicopters and things of that nature, jumping over buildings, snapping his ankle. And when you see in the movie, that's him actually hobbling after he snapped his ankle past the camera. That's incredible. Even Henry Cavill at 35 said, I knew I had to bring it and I had to step in the stunts. I couldn't do 100% what Tom did. And that tells you the unique nature of his approach to this character and this franchise. And I think that's why the fans come to see it, because that's Tom fully realized. Why one of the last great movie stars still doing it in a franchise that works. Plus, you can't discount the fact the writing is well done. The cast is fantastic. So to me, that's what I think is the story, is that there's still a love for this. And this franchise, remember, was almost dead from his own actions after Mission Impossible 3. We weren't sure if this thing was going to keep going or not. And the fact that they've actually how many franchises get better in the 4th, 5th, and 6th installments? That's almost unheard of for any franchise. So I think this whole entire franchise deserves a lot of credit. But I will throw in one last thing about Teen Titans Go. I think it's a niche TV show, so I didn't expect it to do great box office. 10 is a little low. I thought 20, maybe 21, pushing it, and then drop considerably. So it's a disappointing to see that. But Incredibles 2 deserves a lot of love here. It's about to cross $1 billion worldwide. It's at $999 million right now. That's incredible. You waited 14 years and you're doing this, and that speaks volumes to your process. And maybe the waiting this long was a smart move because of the box office return you're getting.
Yeah, Teen Titans Go also had to compete against Hotel Transylvania for that family animated doll, where Hotel Transylvania, $12 million this weekend. Perry, what's your read on Rocha's sentiment that Tom Cruise can only do this for so long? We've just heard this so many times. And I know he broke his ankle filming a stunt here, but if you give me the stunts that he does in Mission Impossible 6, and you either give me a halo jump 100 times, or dangling off a helicopter, or just jumping off a rooftop, if he has to hurt himself on one of those activities, I'm glad it was on the rooftop.
I was going to jump in and interrupt you, but then I didn't want to stop you going through the whole box office chart there. It was pretty good. I actually had the exact opposite reaction from watching Mission Impossible Fallout, where even though I know how old he is, and I've seen time and time again when certain action stars get up there in age, you start to notice how they cut around them a little bit. They don't do that with Tom Cruise. Also, every single thing Tom Cruise says about these stunts in these movies, it is so clear that that is where a very strong passion of his lies, where I don't think it's going to matter how old he gets. I mean, obviously there's a stopping point eventually, but as long as he still wants to make these movies, he's going to find ways to continue to up the bar, do something a little different. And at this point in time, he looks totally physically capable to do it all.
Well, I think what was surprising, and you make great points, Perry, but I think what was interesting watching the movies, there are 2 or 3 shots of him where you see his age. You see Tom's age. That's a rare thing for a movie star to show. And there's a couple of instances where he looks to his right and the face is full 55. And at the end, which sometimes
the full 50.
Yeah, the full 50. Because sometimes, they soft light just so you don't look that old, and that's Hollywood, and that's okay. But and then at the end, that's the first time I've seen it in any of the Mission Impossible films, where they let him be all cut up and bruised up and messed up in the face. That was shocking. And a lot of people commented that I went to see it with, they felt the same way. So this is what's it. But Perry, he'll keep doing this till he can't. The thing is, remember what happened when he broke his ankle? It set production back. All those people were out of a job for months because he got hurt. So that's the concern. As he pushes the ante, will more productions go and be delayed, and will Paramount miss opening dates where they have to move release dates? Those are the dangerous things when you push it. So I want him to keep doing them till he's dead, but I'm worried that he may die on one of these. So that's my concern.
Yeah, it's definitely a production risk with letting him do his own stunts. But I mean, the guy's done 7 of these. There are 6 of these now, and I'm sure that he's already thinking about what he can do for 7. And I think that he is smart enough to realize that I can do things that look great on camera, that look really scary. But I mean, the guy can wake up in midair and handle himself okay. So I think it's going to be more of that kind of activity and less the physical exertion things that as you get older just leave you, whether you want it to or not. He takes care of himself. And this reminds me of a sports topic that you hear a lot now, too, where how long can you play in the NFL, particularly if you're a quarterback? Because Tom Brady, he's got new training methods, new diet, all this stuff that will enhance his ability to be a quarterback until maybe even the age of 45, according to him.
Keep giving me the tips before I select my fantasy. I'm in like a panic of that. I can't even choose my team name.
I think you are doing a fantastic job. You keep sponsoring Creation or allow them to brand you, and I think that Perri and I are going to be just fine. Rocha, Noah's Bagels, switch that over to Creation Shake, and I think
I'll be dancing
okay.
on both y'all's graves. Chemicals save lives. All right, here we go.
All right, well, we move on to our next story. It is indeed our headline. For anybody wondering, hey, why did you guys make make Movie Talk 4 p.m. instead of its usual 9 a.m.? Is it really just to let Ellis sleep? No, it was not actually to let me sleep. It was so that we could catch news stories that break during the day so we don't miss them by going too early. This is one of those cases where just a little after 9 a.m., the entire lead cast of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 signed a letter. It was an open letter that they all posted on Twitter, basically reprimanding Disney for firing James Gunn. Now, while the letter is very well written and it has all their signatures on it, in no way does this indicate that they're going to refuse to participate in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, regardless of who Disney gets as a director, but they did voice their opinion very strongly in favor of James Gunn even being rehired. Now, look, my personal take on this is that I think it's great that the cast spoke up about a director that they care a lot about. They've had a great working relationship with. Disney is a huge company, and in no way is this the actors and actresses saying, we're not going to do this movie until you hire James Gunn back. They're going to do the movie regardless of who the directors are. And I feel weird saying this because of my opinion on the James Gunn firing itself, but I think that you could hire a lot of directors that are going to do a great job with Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And I think Disney knew that, and that's probably the reason why they fired him for tweets that were issued a while ago. I will also say that while I think that Disney's decision was short-sighted, and I don't think it was the proper one, I think that you can bring in somebody and you can get the internet excited about who is replacing James Gunn if you do it right. And again, you don't have to make the cast happy. They're contractually obligated to be in these movies. Disney has everybody with a contract. I don't know what everybody's exact number for how many films they have to appear in is, but Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to happen with the cast you know and love, regardless of whether James Gunn gets hired. So, John Rocha, my question to you first, is James Gunn going to get rehired based on the cast's feelings?
No, I don't think he will. And I think it's because of the swiftness of the decision by Disney. I think there was other stuff going on behind the scenes. That's just my personal belief. I've talked to some people who work with Disney, who work with Marvel, and kind of relayed to me that there was some stuff possibly going on behind the scenes. I heard from both sides. Possibly James was becoming trouble for them, or Disney was pushing in on Volume 2 and kind of changed what James wanted to do and pushed it away from what he enjoyed doing in 1, so he was pushing back to make Volume 3 be more like Volume 1. These are the things I heard from people I know. So does this mean that actually was happening? Who knows? Only those people involved would probably know the truth. So, but my thing is this. I think what's important here is that this is rare, where a cast takes the time to think about this, then issues a statement that they all sign, including new members of the cast. You know, like Rooker was in Guardians of the Galaxy, but he's really focused. He's really a focus in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Pom Klementieff, I hope I'm saying that right. Her coming in as Mantis. Like, it's a very strong statement they're making here. I don't think necessarily that they're contractually obligated. It does not mean that they have to. If they banded together and said, we're not going to do this, then do they rehire an entire new crew of Guardians of the Galaxy? Do they go with the Stallone version? Or if we, like you saw in Avengers 4, most of them were pretty much wiped out. Do they stay wiped out? This is the thing that I find interesting now at this time with everything that's happening. And we know they shot already the scenes with Avengers 4, so they'll probably come back.
Right, but this statement is not indicating that they are going to band together to say we're not making this movie.
Not necessarily.
It's just expressing their desire to work with James Gunn.
But you got to read between the lines. And the fact that they did this is a strong statement towards Disney saying, we support this man. We are going to work with. It says we're going to work with this man in the future, and it won't be long in the future. It'll be soon. They're saying that there, and that's a statement too. That these are things. There's like a little subtlety going on in some of the shots they're taking throughout this thing. And the thing about redemption is a very powerful thing as well, because Disney's not a clean Song of the South box to be judging other people either. Like, do we get redeemed or do we not get redeemed?
Yeah, I mean, Disney's past, you go back decades, and it's
exactly.
Whoa,
what are we talking about?
But if you're talking about this particular story, Perry, Rocha does have an interesting point where it forces the reader of this petition to look at what's going on in between the lines. Is this the cast saying, hey, we're not coming back, we are banding together unless you rehire James Gunn? Or do you look at it more the way I look at it, which is this is a nice PR move by people that care about James Gunn personally. They have a great working with him professionally, but they also are trying to appeal to their core fan bases as well as individuals. Because look, if you are a huge actor and this happened on your movie, I think it is incumbent upon you in 2018 to make some sort of statement, if for no other reason, because you're going to be asked about it eventually.
It's difficult because I don't want to sit here and put words in their mouths when they clearly very carefully crafted this statement. So I don't really know what they're willing to do or not do. But when I look at every single line, and in particular, it's the one that says support from fans and members of the media who wish to see James Gunn reinstated as director of Volume 3. That to me is their way of saying reinstate him as the director of Volume 3 without actually having to say it themselves. And they are most likely under some sort of contractual obligation to return. But we're also talking about two very profitable movies. Their star power has risen through the roof since those movies came out. They've got some power to swing around right now. And I also do think, I mean, I'm not going to start rehashing what we said on the last episode, but I think that this whole thing has dug a very deep hole that, you know, even though I think let's say they made Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with another director. I think a lot of MCU fans, myself included, are going to go out and see that movie no matter what. But if we're talking about the long-term game here, long-term for the individual Guardians franchise, and then also these characters' involvement in future MCU movies, you want to maintain an air of support and positivity and encouragement. And I mean, God forbid for Disney and Marvel's sake, they hire a new director and then Volume 3 doesn't meet expectations. That could pose a major long-term problem for these characters. So I just wonder if the folks at Disney are kind of considering all possibilities, because it is a very big vocal backlash to this decision right now.
Yeah, I mean, Rocha, I honestly look at this as a nice stepping stone to whatever Disney might have a decision like this in the future. Because the biggest takeaway that I had from this is when the cast all signed a letter saying, hey, we don't want anybody trudging too deep into anyone's digital skeletons that may be in their closet, because we don't necessarily feel that's fair. And I'm paraphrasing what they had said, but I think that these are famous people that have been on Twitter for a while, and there's a lot of famous people that have been on Twitter there's a lot of directors that have been on Twitter for a while, a lot of writers, a lot of people associated with huge productions that may not necessarily have tweeted the nicest things always. They may have some lewd jokes in their history. I don't know if it compares to what James Gunn does, but that's what I read into this from the cast making that point. You can't make a decision just based on things like this.
Absolutely. I mean, at the amount of time they spend touching on redemption throughout this letter is really powerful, and it tells you something. It tells you that they are very. They're hinting at this thing that they want to have happen. And so then who knows what's in their contracts, because they can say, well, you hired James Gunn to direct the film. There's a clause in this contract that says I can get out of this film because you hired this director that proved to be these issues or have these. And Gunn just finished writing the script. So the script is done. And that's an interesting part too. Who's going to come in and direct his script? And what Perri says, right, if someone comes in and steps in and maybe they're not that good, what's the ramifications going to be? How does that affect? Because if I'm the actor and you're going to mess up my franchise because you can't direct us and you don't know how to direct the script, then I'm mad because I'm losing out on potential future installments and money. So what's my sway? What do I get to swing around here in this situation to make Disney listen and hear what we have to say? I don't agree that there's a bunch of directors that can step in and take over. I really don't. Maybe once you get past Taika and Peyton, I'd be shocked to find other people that could step in and capture the vibe of what made Guardians of the Galaxy so unique in the MCU.
I totally disagree with that point.
Sure.
There, is that
feel free.
And I made this point in our production meeting too, is that I think there's a lot of directors that can make a really good to great Guardians of the Galaxy 3, at least as good as what Volume 2 was. And I also think that if you put what James Gunn would make with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and then another movie movie and you had fans watch them back to back, you would not be able to say who directed what movie. That's just the way that movies are made. That's part of the reason, at least in my take, for why Disney fired him in the first place, is because he's not somebody that you see on screen, and they clearly felt like he was somewhat expendable to this franchise. They just interviewed 700 directors or something like that for Black Widow. Mm-hmm. I'm sure a lot of them gave great interviews. There's only one person that could have gotten that job. So what do you do with the other candidates? Maybe they told Kevin Feige about this decision, Perry, and they said, do you have somebody that's sitting in the dugout right now that can grab their glove and run in and play center field for Guardians?
As much as I love that first Guardians movie, and I think James Gunn as a storyteller and as a visual director has a very distinct, specific style, they could definitely find someone else who could make a great Guardians movie. What my comment was before is more so the risk that they're taking and just what that could do to the franchise and just the air around it going forward. But there's tons of great talent out there that, you got to do those extensive searches, and that takes more time than maybe you were thinking about putting into it before. But those people are out there. But I will say that I happen to have read a Variety article, and one of their sources say that there's been a growing feeling that Gunn could be reinstated, especially because Marvel and Disney have been unusually radio silent on who could replace him since the firing.
Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen that he gets reinstated to direct Guardians 3?
If I had to make a prediction, knowing absolutely nothing about what they're discussing right now, I would say he gets reinstated.
Okay, Rocha?
I think if this backlash from artists and press starts building, I think Disney has to reconsider the decision and, yes, rehire James Gunn, because you can hide behind the veil of redemption, and that's what it is. He did these tweets earlier. We knew about the tweets. We vetted him. He apologized for the tweets. We still let him direct the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It's hypocritical and sanctimonious for us to step out now because some alt-right blogger decided to have some vendetta against his director, for us to fall prey to that and fire this guy. We moved too quickly. You know what? We don't want to upset the apple cart. I think Feige not saying anything is very interesting, as much as Disney and Marvel being radio silent is, because Feige, with just a swing of his finger, could be like, nope, we're going to bring him back.
With just a swing of their finger, Disney could fire Kevin Feige. So, please. And look, and I make the point, I see some people trying to equate this to the Lord Miller situation. That's a totally different point, because they were making a movie already, most of a movie that Lucasfilm was not happy with. That's why they got rid of them. I'm not saying that any director can come in and make a great movie. I'm saying you have to hire a good director, but I'll put it in terms that I can understand, and maybe a lot of other people can relate to a little easier. Rocha, you came to see me at the Comedy Store on Saturday, right? If right before I went on stage, the Comedy Store came to me, they're like, hey, you had a joke about DeVry in 2008 that really offends people now, so you can't go on stage tonight. I would be upset. I'd be pissed, but you could put another comic up there that would have a good set.
But that's different, because if that comic is walking in with your jokes, he's going to deliver them differently. That's my point. Yakov Smirnoff is not going to be as funny with your jokes as you were, and you're not going to be as funny as he was with his jokes.
I think Yakov Smirnoff probably would be funnier than I am.
Well, I disagree. I thought Yakov was great with his stuff. You were great with your stuff. That's what I'm saying. And
now we're just off on a tangent.
No, just remember Justice League. People were picking out what's Whedon, what's Snyder, what's Whedon, what's Snyder. It can be done. You will be able to tell the difference.
Sure, but I think the Disney's thinking, let's get this situation before we start shooting the movie, so we don't have this. Okay, the last thing, and I enjoy having these kind of conversations. I do want to quickly ask each one of y'all, why did the cast wait until now to drop this on Monday morning, after it had started to blow over is the wrong word, because people have been talking about this, but the news hit during Comic-Con, and we had a whole week to digest this? Why did the cast wait this long? Was it a strategic move? Was it just, we want to wait and see if we have to say something? What's your read on that?
Two things. I would like to think that they were being completely honest in the first sentence of that thing, where they actually took the time to think this through and discuss it before releasing the statement. And also, it's strategic. These are their careers and their jobs and their opportunities on the line as well. And I would totally believe that they wanted to find time to powwow together and discuss the best way to approach it before releasing a statement like this.
Yeah, I agree. I think they took the time, and I think they wanted to set an example. that, look, we didn't knee-jerk react to you firing them like you knee-jerk reacted to the firing and firing. Like, we wanted to step back, look at all the factors, and we wanted to consider each other, right? Look at these people who signed this thing. You have Palm Clementieff. I think she's French-Asian, I think. Then you have Zoe Saldana, who's Latina. Then you have Batista's Latina. Then you have the white dude in Chris Pratt. And then you just have Michael Rooker as the old Hollywood versus the new. Like, so you had a great representation of people. Bradley Cooper, great representation, and
Vin Diesel is a tree.
Right? Right, exactly, it's a tree. And they all came together, and then carefully approved this statement. And that, to me, says volumes as well, that people came together, this diverse cast came together and issued a statement like this.
Well,
and
what you're
took the
saying,
time.
too, kind of speaks to, as much as I want a good Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 movie, the bigger concern here is basically digging up old skeletons, and in this case, old tweets. And they even mentioned that in the statement, and using it to, torpedo someone's career where... one of the biggest complaints I got after our last movie talk conversation was, look how old he is. Like, you can't tell me that someone like that can change at that age. That's crazy.
People change all the time.
Yeah, anybody can learn their lesson and become a better person. So more so than anything, I just don't want to wind up in a situation where you don't give someone the opportunity to atone for their mistakes and to make changes in their life.
Do you think like a modern day retelling of A Christmas Carol is just like three ghosts coming to visit you, like the three ghosts of Twitter, past, present, and future, and you just you make amends to change your ways from a digital social media standpoint. You wake up the next day and every day is like Christmas ever after for Ebenezer Scrooge and company. Well, we're getting a lot of discussion about this in the chat room, as you might expect. Thanks everybody for watching us live at our new time and participating so lustily in the chat. Some people for, some people against, and Metlo may have had the best point of all when they asked, what time did I wake up this morning? 9 a.m. Woke up at 9 a.m., stayed in bed till about 10, went to the gym. I feel fan-frickin-tastic, but I'm going to have to get up earlier later on this week. That would be Wednesday, because we have a special edition of Collider Town Hall. Here's a quick preview.
I mean, airplane food, it's terrible, am I right? Nah, I'm not doing stand-up, and by the way, that's better than Rocha's. I'm kidding. It's time for our second ever Town Hall. Town Hall is coming up, and we're going to answer a bunch of questions from you guys. It's coming up this Wednesday, 10 a.m. PST. We'll be having a rotating panel. We're going to start out, it'll be myself, Mark Fernandez. Ellis will be hosting. You'll see Dennis Zen, Thad, people from Heroes, a bunch of things happening on Wednesday, 10 a.m. PST, the second ever Collider Town Hall. Get those questions in. We'll do our best.
It's fun watching Christian do stand-up again, It's been a while since he's been on stage. Hear you. The Collider Town Hall is on Wednesdays. Make sure you guys jump in. I think I'm moderating it. Is that a yes? I will be taking live questions during it and trying to incorporate that in the show so you as a fan can have your voices heard on all the stuff that we will be updating, most of which I am not privy to just yet. That's the way I like it. I like being a fair arbiter. I like being a moderator, and also less preparation for me. I'm just going to ask some questions. I don't know what's coming. Neither do you. We're all going to find out Wednesday, 10 a.m. PST. Our next story is one sure to get Perri Nemiroff talking, because it's about Ari Aster, the director of Hereditary, one of the most, at least one of the better reviewed movies of this year, and one of the most celebrated horror flicks to come out so far in 2018. That director is now working with two other stars, Jack Reynor and Will Poulter. They're going to be teaming up with the already cast Florence Pugh for a movie that is going to be set in Sweden, and it's friends that are visiting their rural hometown of their buddies, and then things start to go crazy when, these doggone pagan rituals. You just can't. You can't control what. Sometimes they're fun. Sometimes it's bobbing for apples. Other times, Perri, it just becomes a slaughter, literally. And that's what we're looking at with this pagan cult and Ari Aster's next movie. How do you feel about it?
I am curious. I know you tossed it to me like that because I'm a horror lover. I was actually a little lukewarm on the ending of Hereditary, but that's a story decision. As a director, that movie is stunning. That movie is stunning. The pace is spot on. I really do think that Ari Aster is an insanely promising horror director. But then I got to go back to my story concerns, and we are about to venture into another cult movie. And I just want to make sure that there's something about this movie that stands out, something that I haven't experienced before. And I didn't quite get what I wanted in that respect out of Hereditary, so I'm curious to see what he does here. But as far as the casting goes, the idea of adding these two guys to the cast thrills me to no end. I think that both Jack Reynor and Will Poulter deserve even more credit than what they've already gotten for their work. I mean, Will Poulter is something else in Detroit in particular, and he's got so much range too, because I loved him in We're the Millers. I think he's great in Maze Runner also, and Jack Reynor is really something else. You have to see him in Free Fire and also Sing Street. He's so good in Sing Street. Doesn't even have that much screen time compared to the main character, but what he does, you just feel the brotherly influence radiate throughout that entire journey, and I think that speaks to his ability to command the screen.
Yeah, so Pugh and Reynor are going to be the couple that travels to Sweden. So, Rook, I got to ask you, either one of these poor bastards making it out alive?
No. I don't think so. Listen, everybody knows that you don't go to Sweden during horror season, because like you get caught in these rituals and
horror. There's
no horror. It's Sweden. What do you got? You're building furniture from particle board. What do you mean there's a horror film in Sweden? Get out of here. It's all, everybody's all sweet in Sweden, blonde and chilling out and having a great time.
Defending all of our fans from Sweden.
Universal
right
healthcare.
I enjoy putting the Swedes' furniture together. Okay,
I'm saying Sweden is a great nation. It's a chill nation. Ain't no horror going on in Sweden.
Have you ever been to an IKEA? It's a little bit of a horror show in there.
Not gonna lie, I used to work for an IKEA. It was the worst. Let me tell you something. You want to see a horror show? Come in the returns. Work the returns exchange department. Then you'll see a horror show.
Oh yeah. Like screws missing and stuff.
Everything missing. What's fascinating about this is what I can't echo more than what Perri said. Will Poulter is a guy that I'm really enjoying watching grow as an actor being given these opportunities to really show what he can do. It's great. And Jack Reynor, you're right. Sing Street. That film is still one of my favorite films of that year and should be celebrated more than it is. Soundtrack as well, so good. So to see this come together, and Hereditary, I mean, so you can put this all together. I'm excited. It has it has a feeling of the high tension, that high tension movie, that kind of thing. It's in a foreign country, but anything can happen, and kind of things. And so to me, this bodes well than that stupid thing that Eli Roth did. Where they went to
Hostel?
The Green, whatever it is, Green.
Oh, Green Inferno.
Yeah, Green Inferno. I was like, get out of here with that stuff. So this seems more interesting to me, and because this director seems to have these interesting philosophical approaches to horror, that excites me. So I may find something here that I enjoy and maybe too scared to watch.
Okay, well, you obviously threw some barbs at Sweden's way. Perri and I don't sign off on that. No one else in Collider does. My question then is, and I'll give each one of you the opportunity to do this. I'm going to give you a full week vacation, airfare, hotel included. You get a per diem for food and everything. You get to have the vacation of your life. Unfortunately, it will end with a pagan cult. So which country would you most want to go visit, knowing it's eventually going to end very gruesomely? Iceland.
Iceland has the best creepy legends. Iceland, look up Grilla. Look
so
up,
you're embracing the fact that you got
I want to be in the middle of this.
Okay.
There's some good stories over there.
So Perri's convertible. John Rocha, which you going with Perri to Iceland?
No, I'm going to Bolivia, which is the home of my parents. And then I'll be able to understand what's happening to me in whatever language they're speaking in. And just maybe maybe I'll have an extended family members in that cult that'll help me escape the cult. So I might have a chance to live. So that's my point.
Okay.
That's my philosophy. This one embraces it because she's insane, but I'm going to try to live.
Yeah, I think I'm going to Italy. I can't sign off on the Iceland place simply because a pagan cult sounds scary enough. Going to Iceland and having a pagan cult performed in sub-zero temperatures. Now I want some red wine.
Well, it's not like that all day. And also, do you know how good the beer is in Iceland?
Yeah.
The beer and coffee, man. I'm telling you.
I've had two sources confirm that. My brother visited there, and I've seen Kiefer Sutherland jump into a Christmas tree. So pretty sure the beer is pretty good in Iceland. Shout out to the Iceland Pizza Hut, where my brother dined and said it was the best Pizza Hut he's ever had. One more news story, then we're going to take your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video and use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. Our last story was spawned from a very interesting article on Collider.com from our own Adam Chitwood, who makes some interesting arguments about Netflix and their refusal to release their original films on actual physical media. I get so used to saying Netflix and digital. When you think about Netflix releasing their stuff on physical media, it sounds odd. But what Adam is saying is that you're denying fans, hardcore fans, the cinephiles amongst us, as we all three are, of the opportunity to really sink your teeth into this original content because of all the bonus features, all these other things you get with Blu-ray and DVD. So, Rocha, I know you are a collector of physical media when it comes to movies. So do you think that Netflix is shooting themselves in the foot and denying their fans chances at getting more invested in their own stuff?
I really don't know if they're shooting themselves in the foot, but I certainly feel that they are denying the viewer an opportunity to be more involved in the creation of these films or TV shows, to find out what was involved, to find out how it all came about, explorations, commentary tracks, things of that nature. I'm a massive Criterion Collection guy. Every time it goes 50% off at Barnes & Noble, I'm stacking up with some movies that I've wanted to own. And each one of those is a film class within itself. There's so much you can learn about the technical aspect of filmmaking, the themes, analysis, breaking it down, what the director was thinking, what the cast was going through as they were making it. There's so much to learn. And they have documentaries about the directors themselves that you may not have known that'll expose you to more films. So there's a lot. It's not just a vacuum. It's all connected. And so I get what Adam is saying, and I think I agree with him for the most part. I think Netflix is kind of cutting the, was it short? I don't know what the word is. But either way, the fan is not getting a full meal, and they're not getting enough of it out of these films. I don't say that I want to see a bright commentary, but there are some, like that Wild Wild Country documentary was incredible. I would have loved to have seen more follow-ups on this.
Yeah, Perry, as the great Homer Simpson once said to his daughter Lisa, see, grown-ups have a thing called money, and I don't know that Netflix is going to want to make a bunch of physical media copies if they're not sure it's going to make them money. Do you think that they would see any bang for their buck if they took Rocha's suggestion?
I'd be curious to know how much they could actually make from something like this. But, I don't want to come across like I'm denying someone out there the physical DVD that they've wanted for so long. But I'm digital. I don't care. I'm not going to go out and buy these things. What I will say I want, though, are the special features. Yeah. If they are going to continue not releasing their films on DVD and Blu-ray, at least get a director commentary, get some deleted scenes, and why can't we just have that as part of the Netflix menu on the site? And, one of the other points that Adam brought up that I do also kind of understand is it's a streaming service. So sometimes there's buffering, and that could ruin the experience, especially for a movie where, I don't know, it was shot a specific way, or the filmmaker intended for you to experience the detail in a different way than maybe on-the-go streaming over Wi-Fi can offer. So I do like that more and more now I'm seeing that more movies and more series have the download thing turned on, which is great because that's how I watch most of my content. But add the extra features if you're not going to do the physical sales. And
I believe that you two have at least a couple years age difference. Do you think that this is a generational thing? That there's just a new generation of young bucks that come up and just don't care about physical media in general? Yeah. Let's not limit it to movies. Yeah. Let's just limit it to collectible stuff that people, because I see a lot of young people and they love their they love pop toys and stuff like that, but it just seems like with digital, not so much.
These damn millennials. No, I'm joking. No, here's the thing. But I think the difference is that in my time, Jesus Christ.
No.
In the day of Rocha.
You just walked right into it.
I did. Let me tell you something. No, growing up in the 80s, we didn't have like 900 channels and streaming services and all these, like we had the movies and we had this so we could get it, we could watch it, we could study it. I think that's what's getting lost here is that you have to make way more of an effort now to understand film and analyze film and learn film and get involved with film. You have to make more of an effort now because there's so much to see. There's so much to explore. There's so much great television and great films being made and on multiple channels. So I think that the physical media solves that, but I don't think a lot of people nowadays are willing to spend the money. And the buffering issue, here's what I'll tell you. That money you save it on the DV, you cheap ass, go and spend for extra internet so that it doesn't have problems with buffering. That's what you do.
Well, sometimes those issues are also out of your control. If there's an outage or something.
Yeah, if you're flying, you're at an airport, if you're at a Starbucks, there's a lot of instances where you can't take Netflix to go as easy as they would like. I mean, the other alternative is that you could offer just streaming director's commentaries and all these other things that you could have. But again, I don't know what kind of bandwidth it takes to do that. I know how much producing a physical copy of something costs a lot more than I do all the digital things, or how much it costs to buy a director's time or get any of these other extras, these documentaries, these behind the scenes things actually made. But I think it's something that Netflix, I'm sure, would take a look at. I'm sure they had a lot of stuff. Use Bright as an example, where they filmed things and they documented the film process, and for whatever reason, we're not seeing it.
Well, going back to the idea of what these things cost too, it's like when you think about it, back in the day, and I grew up with VHS tapes. I know about physical media,
That's right, you get it.
But you know, back in the day, or even when DVDs and Blu-rays were first really hot, think about it. Would you buy multiple DVDs on a regular basis? Whereas right now, if you're paying for Netflix as a subscription service, you might also be paying for, I don't know, Hulu, Amazon, HBO, every single thing that's going to come out in the near future. So I feel like as we get more subscription services, and as those services become a must to see the hot new movie or TV show, then the wallet shrinks for physical media. So you got to pick one or the other. And if that's what it comes down to, I think physical media is going to lose out.
And you're right. I've bought less physical media over the last 5 years than I did in the previous 5 years and previous 5 years before that, because like it's less available. You go to Best Buy. Those things are now, they used to be an entire side of the store. Now it's like 4 shelves, and they mix the Blu-rays in with the DVDs, which they never did. So that tells you that physical media is dying.
As Adam also points out in the article, it's when something comes out physical media, and let's say it's the first season of a new show on Netflix, that is essentially could be looked at as a way to drive more subscriptions for season 2. Whereas you make a movie and then you have it on Netflix and then you release it on DVD or Blu-ray, why do they have to buy your subscription? But Adam also proposed, like, why don't you give it a year-long window or something? And that could fix it. But remember where Netflix first started, where that was the only place you could go to get almost every movie that came to mind?
What's the most important piece of physical media that you own, Rocha? Like what's the one? The place is on fire, and you got to rescue one of them. And Perri, I'll ask you if you have any.
Oh, I've got my answer. I want to hear his answer first, though.
It's probably my Criterion collection of 7 Samurai. It is, if you want to understand film, that's the one. If of all of them, that's the one that's taught me most about film, and it's one I go back to and revisit over and over again, because Kurosawa is my second favorite director underneath Orson Welles, and so to see his process, to understand his process, it's incredible. And so that's the one.
Fair enough. Perri, your eyes lit up right away. You have your answer ready.
Well, one, I grabbed Dewey first, so let's just get that out of the way. And 2,
damn right.
That's when I run, and this just speaks to my stance in this conversation. I run and grab my laptop, because I've gotten the download.
You cheater! You cheater,
but
Perri!
I've gotten the download codes
for
so many movies over the years by buying them online. And instantly right there, I have dozens of movies.
Yep, you're right.
I look at rarity more than I like, oh, this is my favorite. Like, I can never get this again. So when it comes to like a DVD or a Blu-ray that I know I may never see this again if I don't grab it, that's why I'm grabbing Super Bowl 22. Bought it on eBay. It was converted to DVD, and it was great. Come on over anytime.
Absolutely.
And, relive the past, because really, that's all we have.
That's all we have.
Okay, well, this episode of Quiet Movie Talk is brought to you by our friends at Rode Microphones. They have a cool contest going on. If you want to participate, get on there right now. It's called myroadreel.com. Entries are due by the end of this month, so literally start making a cool movie. It's just a 3-minute short, any genre you want, and do it behind the scenes of you using some piece of Rode equipment, and you can enter for your chance to win part of $1 million prize purse. Very exciting stuff. Thank you to Rode for sponsoring this and having a cool contest that inspires artists out there everywhere. I'm not an artist. I'm merely a consumer, and I'll watch it digitally. I don't need to see it physically like some other people on the panel. Well, we got a live, it's not a live Schmodown just yet. That one's September 8th, but we do have the Schmodown dropping tomorrow, as well as Perri Nemiroff's The Witching Hour. It's a new horror and genre podcast that is hosted by Perri Nemiroff and Haley Fouch from Collider.com. So excited to get this thing off the ground, and it debuts tomorrow.
It does. So first episode goes up tomorrow, and there it is. The official logo.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. That's a very Silent Night, Deadly Night look.
I love this so much. We put out the call, and I can't believe how many people sent in logos, and I wish we could have dozens of logos representing the show, but ultimately we had to choose one, and we went with one that was submitted by Eric Labaz. So Eric, a huge thank you for putting that together. We absolutely love it, and Haley and I are very excited for the very first episode to drop tomorrow at noon PT. PST on the Collider Factory. So go check it out and then tweet at us. Let us know what you think, what you want us to discuss in future episodes. We really are just so excited about this. I wish the podcast was longer than an hour.
Yes, make sure you tweet them and let them know your thoughts on the podcast and what you want to hear them talk about. And sometimes the transitions are just too easy because it's time for live Twitter questions right here on Collider Movie Talk. I'd say so far the time change is going pretty well. Do you guys need a 5-hour energy? Do you get that 2 p.m. feeling, or are you okay at 4 p.m. this late hour?
Oh, no, I'm like George Foreman, man. I'm standing up in between rounds. I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Okay, and how many of your kids are going to be named John Rocha?
A lot.
Just like
All
George Foreman. George Foreman named like 7 of his kids George Foreman. It's the funniest thing I've ever heard, and his grill is fantastic. Got me through college. Perri, I assume that you're doing okay because you're in great shape. You do a lot of CrossFit. I don't want to make either panelist nervous or any of the production guys, but I'm looking at the live numbers of people watching us right now. It's a lot. It's a beefy number. We got a pretty good audience going on right now, and they are going to be witness to the first set of live Twitter questions here at 4 p.m. PST.
Let's do it.
That's Movie Talk's new time slot, and your first Twitter question comes from Luis A. Rivera, who came to the Comedy Store on Saturday night. He was worried about the time. He said, "Look, I don't know if I'm going to be able to tweet." He's able to tweet. His handle is my favorite handle of all time. It's with like 8 H's and then shit. So it's shit. And he says, "What's going on with MoviePass? Question mark. Question mark. Question mark." It's not good because I believe the CEO of MoviePass just announced that what they did with fans for Mission Impossible Fallout, where they said, "Hey, you can't go see this one opening weekend." They're doing that for more wide releases. They said they're not going to allow people to go see a movie like The Meg opening weekend because that's like a premium film now, and so you can't get that through MoviePass, and their stock is plummeting. Rocha, I don't think it's a good play for MoviePass. I don't know if their hands are tied, but it's not looking good for our friends at MP.
If you're borrowing $5 million in an emergency move to try to stay alive as a company over the weekend when one of the biggest movies of the summer is coming out, that's not a good sign. This reminds me of that dog meme where everything's on fire and he said, "Nothing's happening," or "Everything's cool. Nothing's happening here." I mean, it's pretty much, it feels like it's done. And some people have even reached out to me personally and told me they've canceled their MoviePass subscriptions over the weekend because of this.
Yes, people very excited that a guy who loves physical media as much as you do referenced a meme that's going around right now.
Yeah.
Well done, sir. You're up with the times. Perri Nemiroff, is MoviePass continue? Is going to be something that we have in September?
It certainly doesn't look like it after today. And I don't want to come across like I'm like happy that it's coming to an end. They did certain things that I don't approve of. I wish that someone over there would recognize the thing that they have as being something special that could and should continue, but to readjust the way that they're operating so it becomes a sustainable business that, hey, maybe drives more people to see independent films, because that is, I think, the best part of this whole idea, and I wish they could continue that. But why I say it's probably coming to a close soon is that my Twitter feed today was filled with screen grabs saying there's no more screenings available at this location, at like every location. It didn't matter if you had Mission Impossible Fallout on there or anything else. It just looks like this is the end. And this is part of the reason why the model upset me so much and why I think it could hurt the industry more so than helping it, because I'm glad people got to enjoy it and see many more movies than they might have before for years and years. But when you pull something out from under people so abruptly like that, it's gonna hurt. And weren't we just talking about that earlier with someone affiliated with the movie Blind Spotting, where doesn't it figure that this happens the weekend that movie was in its, I think, first 2 weekends of release, that they had that opportunity. They could have used that opportunity to make more money, and now it's not there for them anymore.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, maybe Gotti was the last thing that really was helped out by MoviePass. So if you have MoviePass, I mean, look, do your due diligence in your research if you're looking at any sort of subscription plan like that. I know AMC offers ones that I guess people are starting to enjoy so far, at least. But you never know what the future holds with anything. So just be careful how you spend your movie-going dollar, and know how much dollars you actually are spending at the movie theater. Well, we'll do a couple more here because we're having fun and so many people are watching us. Shiraj Sen says, "Hey, good move to this time slot. It suits him just fine in Melbourne, Australia."
Hey.
My question is, hi Australia, I might be there soon. Who knows? My question is, with the success of Mission Impossible Fallout, which current actor can you see carrying an extinct TV franchise from over 20 years ago And which franchise would that be? Great job on the show. Thank you, Shiraj. I think that I'm looking at somebody to reinvent a classic TV show and bring it back for a more modern era or a modern spin. I'm looking to somebody who actually is a great film actor and is also in on a TV show right now, Rocha, and that would be Donald Glover.
Okay.
And I don't know who we paired Donald Glover with yet, but let's see another run at In the Heat of the Night, because it started out as a TV show. I think they made a movie, or maybe it was a TV movie.
No, the movie was first, then it was a TV show.
But you could have a procedural based around there, and I think do some damage to the box office.
I feel like I'm not old enough to answer this question because my mind immediately went to all of my favorite animated Nickelodeon shows. I'm like, well, we're getting a Rugrats movie, so that's a thing.
Are you happy about the Rugrats movie?
I'm a little put off by it. Okay. I wish it wasn't live action, and I wish they did a Doug live action movie first.
Okay, yeah.
There you go.
How far back are we going?
You can go back as far as you want, to the dawn of the small screen.
I would love to see Keanu Reeves do Mannix. People forget about Mannix. You haven't watched Mannix? Go back in the 70s and watch Mannix. Mannix was a great show. How about Airwolf? John Michael Vincent. You could do Airwolf. You could bring somebody in to be
Airwolf's such a cool sounding name. I have no idea what it's about. I imagine
you never seen Airwolf?
Never
What?
seen Airwolf.
Jan Michael Vincent and Ernest Borgnine? That was the one. What about Simon and Simon? You kids know about Simon and Simon?
Not sure
For
about
God's
Simon and
sakes, what am I on the panel with? You know, it
How
wasn't.
about Are You Afraid of the Dark? There you go,
What is it?
Rocha.
Was that a TV show? Was that a
Exactly.
TV show?
Dude,
We're
Nick
so
at
from
Night.
two different generations.
Snick, I believe they called it.
Snick?
Yeah.
Wow.
Snick was the greatest thing of my life.
Yeah, man, the Midnight Society, they snuck out, and you know what these kids did? First of all, they started a fire in the woods, which you should not do. They snuck out, but instead of doing what, I would have done and like drinking beers when you're 16 or whatever, they're not doing drugs. They're not doing illicit things. They're telling each other scary stories. Then as soon as the camera's cut, they probably did sleep with each other. One more question, and then
Hawaii
we'll call
Five-O
it a
is
day.
possible, too. Hawaii
This is
Five-O, I
from
think, is possible.
Hawaii
to do a feature
Five-O?
film.
Well, yeah, I think the TV show's doing well enough, so they're like, let's just, All right. Sarah Morgan is last. It's fun having new names because it's new time, so we get some new people in here. At Sarah Spector says, if you were in James Gunn's shoes and they offered you the job back, would you take it?
Great question.
no.
Great question.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
I'd take it, but with a crap ton more money, son. Absolutely. I would be like, oh, yeah, no. Oh, I'll come back. But you're going to up the guarantee a little bit higher on my salary because you knee-jerk fired me without talking about figuring this out, without doing due process. You did me dirty. So I'm coming back, but you better pay me, son.
Okay, to quote a movie franchise I know you're fond of, I don't necessarily think he has the high ground right now.
What?
So I don't know that you're in position to demand more money. If I was in that situation, I honestly do not know what I would do. I would want to do what's best for me and my career. Like, look, if you say the Guardians of the Galaxy is his baby and he wants to complete the trilogy and all that stuff, work with these great actors, that's fantastic. I'm going to do whatever me and my team prognosticate is going to reflect the most positive on me. And I think it would probably be showing some forgiveness for Disney making a knee-jerk reaction and taking the job. So I think that's what I would. I don't know. I can be a pretty vindictive SOB.
You get out. This is Hollywood, damn
Okay.
it. You don't be doing
Terry,
all
break
nice.
the tie.
I would take the high road, and whether or not I had a little leverage in the situation, I wouldn't make any demands because, it's a reflection on this entire situation and also that statement that we were covering earlier. They took the high road and they just tried to, be there to support him. And if it does come to the conclusion where Disney is like, we made a mistake, this was too harsh for what you did, and they come back with it, then it's kind of like everybody learning from their mistakes. And isn't what this is all about to a degree?
Thank you, Perry, for bringing some sense to the panel here today. I went to bed at 11:30 p.m. last night. I woke up at 9, and maybe I needed that extra 30 minutes because we still didn't talk about that Pedro Pascal image from Wonder Woman.
I forgot about
It's
that.
an image,
Can
and
we put it up?
we tease it. Can we run it just real quick? Let's see. Let's take a look at the
Oh,
image.
no.
If we don't have it anymore, you can literally Google it.
there it is.
There it is.
Look at that.
It looks like it's from like a 1984 TV set.
Yeah.
And it's like him. And I got to tell you, Pedro Pascal really looks like he belongs in like the back seat in a rich guy position of power. This is shades of Michael Douglas from Wall Street.
Yeah.
And that's really all I read into it. Is he the Gordon Gekko of this flick, Rocha?
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me. Or possibly Maxwell Lord. He looks a little bit like Maxwell Lord, which no one's bringing up in these reviews. Like, he looks like him from, if you ever read up on Maxwell Lord in the DC Universe and see what his whole connection is to the Justice League.
You know who
Perri,
brought that up? Collider.com.
Did they really?
I read about him there, yeah.
Oh, I swear to God, I did not know that.
But really,
respect to them. Absolutely.
Mine's going there. I mean, maybe it is, and it sounded like it would suit that image and could have a lot of promise in the film overall. But I mean, look at him. He rocks that hair and that suit really well. I'm all for it.
See, I'll talk to the production guys because like this is the problem with having a comic host this show because with this many eyeballs on us, I just want to like keep going. But we are gonna call it a day with that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Now go watch Mannix.
Or Wolf. What was the Wolf one?
Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.